about. All right. So for starters, one of the most important things before we're getting into the training is and the pitch and development is having the office layout to optimize the communication. All right. So right now, the way that I'm sitting is never a way that you want to be sitting when you're pitching a customer, because I have light coming from behind me. Right. So
I have it coming this way.
yours is coming in from an angle, which is also not ideal. Right. So
Right.
we'll go through exactly kind of how to set this up. So I went to a presentation a handful of weeks ago, and it was run by this guy, Renee, who works with, Harvard and Stanford, and he studies the effects of Zooms on meetings and how people engage with different screens. And it's super interesting stuff. But long story short, what these people came up with is people prefer to interact with a screen than they actually do with in-person.
Right.
However, they only prefer to interact with the screen over the in-person if it's replicating an in-person experience.
Okay.
Because if you can replicate the in-person experience, you're giving that person the same feeling. Your brain is receiving the information in the same way. However, in sales, you don't have the pressure of coming out to someone's home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting the person out of your home, right? Letting them in and scrutinizing the lay of the land, the clothes that are all over the place, or the kids running around, and people feel like they're more in control when they're in Zoom. So you're giving them the feeling that they're in control, but we want to be able to replicate the in-person experience as closely as possible. So that's done 4 different ways. Okay. The first way here is setting the camera to an eye level. Right. So you're speaking eye to eye. So your camera looks like it's set up pretty well. Right. So if you see me, right, my camera is to eye level. Right. So it's replicating that direct eye to eye contact.
Yep.
Right. So whenever you're moving things around and reconfiguring, just make sure that camera is always here. Okay. If they can see into your eyes, right? So some recommended that you start off slightly closer, right? Because if you could see into someone's eyes, that's a sign of building trust, right? And never looking away from the screens, right? So this gets a little more tricky once you have multiple screens that are set up, right? Because you might be preparing something on another screen, but you want to stay engaged on this screen.
Yep.
Okay. So if you are preparing something on another screen, just make sure that you're screen sharing, right? So he's paying attention to whatever you're sharing and he's not looking directly at you. So you should be in a non-share, right? In non-share mode when you're working on something else on another screen, okay? The next thing is the lighting, right? So lighting needs to be perfect. Right? When we're communicating with people, we need to replicate the clear, bright look, right? So one, we want to make sure that our webcam is 4K, right? So we are collecting the highest quality of image possible, right? So we're looking for 4K webcam. And we're looking for the lighting that is coming directly behind the screen, all right? So behind the camera. So a couple different things here. What a lot of the guys are doing now is they're buying a small attachment, right? Like a selfie stick, basically, right? Yep. It has a light and it's coming down onto your face. So it's preventing any shadows. So you can see even from this recording, right? As I'm moving in and out, the shadows are affecting this differently because all the light is coming from behind me. Right. So that's not replicating the real human experience, right? Yep. It's showing shadows, it's getting distracting, right? And it's hard to kind of, gauge that. And it adds another level of difficulty to the actual presentation.
Is that light that looks like a circle?
Exactly. Okay. So, and there's like a hitch, right? That it goes on or a post, right? And you can basically just point that. They're on Amazon, they're like $12.
Yep.
All right. I'll give you all the stuff here. I have a list of the different items.
Gotcha.
The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you're very verbal with your hands, right? So if you've ever taken a public speaking class or you've ever heard anybody talking about, hand placement and how you should talk, they call it talking like an Italian, right? Okay. So you want to have your hands up and you want to move. However, typically when you're putting on a presentation or when you're putting on a sales pitch and you're standing up, the hand recommendation placement is between waist and sternum, right? So that's where typically your hands are supposed to be moving if you're standing up and you're putting on a presentation or a speech, right? Yep. Between hip and sternum. The issue with that when you're pitching someone virtually is we're both sitting down. And if my hands are staying between my hip and my sternum, you can't see them, right? So the level moves up, right? So the hand movement needs to be between sternum and neck now, okay? Now, keep in mind, when we're putting on our presentations, we want to share the time. So we want to make sure that about half of the time we're sharing information, sharing content, and using the online sales to our advantage, right? By pulling up content and backing up everything we're saying with facts and research and articles and presentations and visuals, right? But the other 50% we want to be screened down, right? So not sharing our screens. While the screens are down, we want to be communicating with our hands up here. Okay. Sternum to neck, right? So having that movement as you're explaining things, when you're talking about, for example, net metering, right? The power is coming down off of your roof directly into your main into your meter, right? The meter is spinning the opposite way and either netting it in or netting the power out or pulling it into the house. So that visual experience is important in replicating the sales process. Okay. So 3 things are the key components that it really comes down to, right? Speaking eye to eye, having the proper lighting, and having the proper audio. Okay. So what a lot of the guys are doing is they're getting a USB microphone, right? So the USB microphone removes the reverberation, right? The echo that you usually hear from a laptop audio, which is typically not that good.
Right.
So that's a key piece. So some recommendations on the products. Center Cam is an adjustable camera that you can put on and you can connect that to your laptop. Center Cam. Okay.
Yep.
There's a couple, hold on one second.
And that's the microphone Center Cam?
No, that's actually looking for this list of products that I have written down.
That's the webcam?
Yes. So Center Cam follows you. That's the big benefit to that.
Oh, nice.
So as you're moving around, it'll keep you centered, right? But most importantly, you want to find something that's 4K, right? 4K is the key, right? Because it's the most clear picture that you're going to be able to get. It helps filter the light. So if you go on Amazon and you look something like this up, right? Center Cam will pop up. There'll be a couple other, what page is this on? Just give me a second here. Yeah, Center Cam is one. If you go on Amazon and you look up 4K webcams, right, that you can attach to your laptop, that's what you want to find, right? If it moves, it moves. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? That's all good.
Okay.
Also, you want to get a microphone, right? So the small microphone that's going to be out of sight and out of mind, something that's just small and in front of you in this area, that's going to be able to pick up that super high premium sound, right? That's the second piece, and the lighting stick is a third, right? They're all. If you could get all high quality products, all 3 of those things for $100 to $150, right? Okay. Between the 3 of them, right? But those 3 things are going to make a night and day difference. All right.
Yep.
Yep. So those are the biggest pieces.
Okay.
Right. So you want to set yourself up for success. Oh, background. Sorry, I knew there was one thing that I'm forgetting. So the perfect background, right? So studies of thousands of people that are in these Zoom meetings, they find that a simple background with maybe one simple piece of art with a plant or 2 behind you is the most effective. Okay. So thinking about that as you have it, you don't want anything too busy and you don't want anything too basic, right? So right now your clean white wall, which is better than something super busy, right? But you want to avoid one wide open cameras, right? That are looking into houses, right? Or giving you the whole lay of the land behind you. It's too much behind you, too much movement. You want to avoid anything that's very, very busy, like a lot of artwork or 1,000 pictures on the wall. And you want to avoid any glass behind you because glass gives off glares, right? And then you're seeing, double you essentially. Okay. Right? So something simple, maybe a very basic piece of art with a big plant, right? It could be real or fake, doesn't matter, right? And giving some depth to the room without taking their eye off of you, right? The center of the attention.
Gotcha.
All right.